Hello, everyone. Today I wanted to walk you through how to take your outline and turn it into an essay draft. You will see that I have my outline in front of me. It's as detailed as I could be, and I wrote it in complete sentences. What we're going to do is practice converting it into our draft, and that shouldn't take us too long if we put in a lot of effort on our outline. So since I have a couple of sentences written out, now I just need to add transitions to flesh it out a little bit more. So in my introduction, I have a couple of points. Writing is hard for many people. Students are required to take composition classes to help. Sometimes this helps. The way English is taught needs to change. According to Gerald Graff and Kathy Birkenstein's book, They Say, I Say, The Moves That Matter in Academic Writing. And then my thesis is Graff and Birkenstein make several points that are strong arguments for why composition classes should be restructured. So I want to turn this into a paragraph. The first thing I'm going to do is just start typing, and then I can take it out of the formatting. And hopefully you'll see through this that it's going to be pretty easy and shouldn't take you a lot of time to get that rough draft done. So writing is hard for many people. That's a good hook to get people in. So maybe I want to add something like, in particular, students are required to do a lot of writing in all of their classes, no matter their major of study. Students are required to take composition classes to help. Sometimes this helps. It's a little bit jumpy to go from here to saying that Graff and Birkenstein argue that I need to make a change. So I need to add some transition here. So I can say sometimes this helps. For many students, however, they still feel that they are not as confident in academic writing after they finish their first composition class. Maybe this is because of the way it is taught. Then I now have this nice transition into the way English is taught needs to change according to Gerald Graff and Kathy Birkenstein's book, They Say, I Say, The Moves That Matter in Academic Writing. I can add a little bit more here, or I could go straight into my thesis. So maybe I can just elaborate a little bit more on this book, saying that Graff and Birkenstein provide sound reasoning when they make their arguments that students need to see templates on how rhetoric works. These templates can help students understand the background of writing, which will then lead to them being stronger and more confident writers. And then now I could add in my thesis. Graff and Birkenstein make several points that are strong arguments for why compositions should be restructured. So you can see that took me maybe 2 minutes to do. And I recognize that I have done this before, but that should be encouraging to you guys that this won't take terribly long. So now I'm just taking it out of my outline form, and there's my paragraph. It's so easy to do that. So now I can look at my body paragraph, and I'm not going to do all of these. I just wanted to show you one more as an example. So it says the first point Graff and Birkenstein make about redoing writing classes is that the conversation part of writing needs to be stressed. Academic writing is part of conversation. Students need to listen to the conversation before they can write. To strengthen writing, a student needs to understand that they should acknowledge what else is being said about the topic. Then I have a quote, and then I end with, this may mean students have to suspend their own beliefs to better understand what is being said and respond to it. Well, I really like this first point as my topic sentence. It tells me what the paragraph is about. So I'm going to leave that alone. The first point Graff and Birkenstein make about redoing writing classes is that the conversation part of writing needs to be stressed. This is important because academic writing is part of a conversation. Scholars are all adding into a wealth of knowledge that interacts to develop our understandings and research even further. So if a student wants to contribute to that knowledge, they need, and this is where I'm going to bring in this part, to listen to the conversation before they can write. Graf and Birkenstein make it clear that if what students are writing do not engage with the conversation, then the writing just kind of falls flat. And then I'm going to bring this part in to help strengthen writing. A student needs to understand that they should acknowledge what else is being said about the topic. So then I have this quote. I think it's a good quote. I don't really want to use the whole sentence because I've kind of just said this. So I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit and just throw in when students want to quickly engage their audience, they, and then now I can delete this part until I get to the part I need. And I'm going to start here with a quote, but remember that I've told you that you can use brackets to change how the format of a word if we need to change the tense necessarily. So that's why I've updated needs to need and putting it in those little brackets to explain what he or she is responding to. I've got my citation, there's my period. I also think this transitions nicely. This may mean that students have to suspend their own beliefs to better understand what is being said and respond to it. I feel like I'm okay with how I've pulled my points together there. So I'm looking next. My next point is that limiting students from using first person pronouns hinders learning. Well, here I've been talking about conversation. A good way to make that transition is I could say something like, a part of this conversation is being able to use any word necessary to express one's opinion. Then this would let me to easily transition to my next topic sentence, which would be Graf and Birkenstein also argue that limiting students from using first-person pronouns hinders learning. And I could elaborate on that. So again, this body paragraph is done. I can take out the formatting. And there we go. And you guys can see, like, this is really taking my paragraph off to a good start. I've only done 2 paragraphs in the outline format. And when I go now to line spacing and move it to double, I'm already over a page, which is amazing because I still have 3 more paragraphs to go through. So if you guys took the time on your outlines and really provided great detail, and then you take the time to add some transitions, elaborate on your thoughts a little bit more, maybe you find you want to add more details here and there with quotes, you can see that this is really going to take your writing to the next level. And it's going to be so much easier because this video is hitting 8 minutes, and it's also had me saying information and not just typing. So your rough draft writing will go a lot faster, which means you can turn it in for feedback a lot faster. If you have questions, let me know.